You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip. But be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize. But it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Rafa, how are you? You got on the road again, doing was it John Denver?
The Willie Nelson.
On the road again. Yep. That's
Willie. Yeah, that's it. Willie Nelson. John Denver was Take Me Home. There we go.
Country road.
That'll be till Friday.
John Denver also had a famous song where he forgot he ran out of fuel in an airplane, and that was his last song. So there you
go. Yeah. How are you? How's the lower half of the valley there? The good half, Laredo, and not the upper half, RGV?
It's pretty warm. I was at United South today, so shout out to them. So we're hosting me today. Tomorrow I'll be doing some drop-offs because they have testing tomorrow. I think a lot of the students will be taking PSATs and SATs tomorrow, so good luck to them. So get a good score.
And I will shout out your background. It's almost as good as Kaler's from Hammering Down in the USL show where he does it in the car. You got the nice draperies in the back.
Yeah, I'm here at the Best Western. And this is like my first time here. Normally I stay at State Ridge, but at $250 a night for the state rate, no. We have a budget to keep.
The title of the show just needs to be called The Sideswipe Episode because Harry's just out for blood today. My goodness.
I got sideswiped in West Texas.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah, you told us about last week. Royce, it's been a couple of days since we've seen you. Hopefully things are doing well and life has at least slowed down a little bit for you.
Yeah, man. Life's been good. Shout out to Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. It's very walkable. They have a nice, 25-foot sidewalk on all ends of all three rivers, so you could walk all around that city. Very walkable. There's soccer stadium, football stadium, and baseball stadium all right next to each other. The hockey stadium's not that far away either. It's nice. Had a good time there. Had a cold time there. Obviously went to we'll talk about the game. I'll talk about the game in a little bit. These are just introductions, but as far as me, I'm back. Last week was hectic trying to get back in tune of things after the vacation, and glad to be back. It was just it's been a crazy couple weeks, but we're back, and I looked up, and not much has changed with SAFC. They're still on top. Weird. Still the best team.
Things have changed with the Cardinals. They're with the Rockies.
I mean, the sideswipe episode. It just
he going for blood tonight.
Good Lord, man.
But we know why Robert isn't here is because even though his Vikings eked out a win, it looked very Bronco-ish. As far as just
he's even going to sideswipe his own team. They looked Bronco-ish. Wow, just no mercy.
As a Bronco fan, it was embarrassing. And then, from my understanding, they have another nationally televised game coming up very soon. So I apologize.
I may need to call
Coach Hackett after that game because you have a 10-day spot playing on Thursday. Fire him, just say, okay, hey, we made a mistake. Go back to being OC. We'll bring in somebody else. Matt Rula here is available now, but so.
I may need to contact my lawyer because if they're back on national television, rumor has it you can request compensation for English. So,
Matt, any place that you've been to, or you like me, kind of stuck here in San Antonio for a little bit?
I'm all right. Just chilling it out. wait until see what goes on next year. Just hanging on San Antonio.
So I really wanted to have Royce on. He kind of already teased it about his experience in Pittsburgh, but we'll let him talk about the Pittsburgh game because he was there. In-game environment and stuff like that here. Kaler, good match on Sunday, and there's no shame on being on the road background, Harry. Kaler, we need to talk to you about your goalkeeping. Goal 5. Let's just say Jordan Farr would have saved that. I'll just leave it at there. That third goal that you allowed in, nobody was stopping it. But awesome that you're doing it, and thanks for tuning in, Kaler. Sorry for the interruption here. I don't know if you check Kaler's. He plays rec goalie, and he had a GoPro which showed his saves. I think he had 8 saves, which was good. I won't say what the score is, but let's just say he gave up a couple of goals for the hair. And yes, Jordan Farr is one of the nicest people that you can meet on and off the field, is my understanding on how he interacts with both home and away fans. But Royce, your thoughts on Pittsburgh? I know you kind of touched about the environment around it, but the in-game and the environment that was provided there at Highmark Stadium. You got the train, you got the river, you got the rain. To me, you got the whole package, and you got the 3 points.
It stinks. It's bad. No, I'm joking. No, it was cool. Pulling up. Let's see. The Uber from our hotel was $7. That helps. We only stayed like a mile. We stayed in the middle of the soccer stadium, the football stadium, and the baseball stadium. So it was literally a mile to everything. As you pull up, the facade's really nice as home of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Walk in, there's one little ticket booth. You walk in, immediately you're greeted by a little portable beer tub geyer with Yingling. So I partook in an adult beverage as I walked in, which is nice. They had some food and a little gift shop to your left, and then straight is the seats. So I just went. The bleachers are like high school football stadium-ish bleachers on the side that I stayed on, as well as the far side where the supporters are at. The other side of the field are kind of box seats, which is cool. They're like, I think it's separated by 4 to 8 seats, and they're little boxes. You can get seats on that side, and the train is right behind you. I did see the train go by. The bunch of river barges with coal were going down the river. It rained. It was windy. It's cold. And
a typical Northeast fall.
Yeah, and San Antonio FC proved that yes, they can do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke-ish conditions. So, man, it was cool. As soon as I got there, like I said, I opened my beer. I was drinking it, and I guess my report on the game is the one player that Marcino was giving, he was barking at the most. He was giving the most instructions. And I think because he is the key cog in the entire formation, was Pirano. The entire time he was telling him, Christian back, Christian up, Christian wide, Christian, that's your man, the entire time. But I think that's because of how important that position is. That is the key position to come back to defend. That is go up and attack, go press somebody. It's just a very key position. So there are a couple miscommunications, a couple missed assignments, and Alan would, in Alan fashion, throw his hands up, kind of look there, like, what do I have to do? And I just went, one of those, huh, Alan? And he looked at me, he's like, it is, man, and just turned around. So, but I got there pretty much right as the second half started. About 10 to 20 minutes after that is when the subs started coming in. Pirano came out for Loera, which was awesome to see him back on the field after such a long layoff. And he came in and was immediately incredible. He had a shot from about 30, 35 yards that needed to be tipped over the net, that had a good save on it, that had no reason to be even a good shot. And then Nicky came in, changed the game. Who else came in? I think you had Saad come out. So you had the subs really did change the game, and they really changed the atmosphere. And that's kind of what really separated Pittsburgh from San Antonio, was The first half, I saw it on the cab from the airport to the hotel. It was a slog. It was very representative of the weather. It was just cold. It was uncomfortable. We didn't look like we can get anything going. The ball was bouncing funny. That was one thing I noticed. Their turf, they have a very similar turf to what's in the Alamo Dome. It's kind of that long, fibrous. It's supposed to look like long grass. But the problem with it is if you don't, you're supposed to brush it. So turf management, there's little beads. You put beads in there, and they're supposed to hold the grass up. And then you're supposed to brush it to also keep the grass up. If you don't do that, plus if it gets wet, it's just flat. It might as well be AstroTurf. It might as well be a wood floor. And that's kind of what the ball was acting like. It was just bouncing, and bouncing.
Taylor's agreeing with you that the Pitts turf is awful.
Yeah. Players were slipping all over the place because even the 1 or 2 inch spikes that the players were wearing still couldn't get traction because it was gross. Nobody can get really good traction. Obviously, Pittsburgh was very used to it. So they had some pretty good sequences that needed a far save. And shout out to Jordan. He gave me his he already given away his gloves, his jersey, so he gave me his undershirt. So shout out to Jordan. Thanks for that. But it needed some deserved save from him, and he was up to the task. And another clean sheet got out of there. Manley's goal was unbelievable. Kind of came out of nothing. Came out of a hustle play from was it Maloney?
Yeah, Maloney to Lorera.
Maloney. That's right. It was Maloney. Maloney with the hustle play. Big surprise. And then Nicky with the cross into Manley, who backheeled it off of a Pittsburgh defender, but it was on net. And 1-0. That's your goal. It was pretty, but it was ugly. And it was 3 points. And I don't care how you get it. You get those 3 points. It's important. And it was great. They had the I didn't see it, but in the locker room they had the little
the supporter shield
medicine ball thing. USL natural grass requirement. I think that's a bar too far right
Darius,
now.
let's get people in soccer specific stadiums first before we start.
That's correct. That's 100% correct.
There's some natural grass fields, quote unquote, Las Vegas and El Paso.
Right.
Too far.
Yeah. But real quick, review of the stadium. I kind of went into the game. Review the stadium. It's nice. It's not Toyota Field. Absolutely not Toyota Field. It's like I said, the stands and the bleachers were definitely high school football-ish. The other side's really nice, but it's only one row.
Right, and it's new.
Not a lot of seats. But that's because there's a train right behind you. I get it. And also, you don't want to cut off the view of the river. I mean, that's half the reason you're there. But it's nice. The turf could use some replacement. Possibly grass would be nice, especially it's in Pittsburgh. You can have nice bluegrass up there. It doesn't get that hot. But the stadium's nice, man. Like the concessions, all the concessions were on that one side. Behind the stands, they had bathrooms and they had a couple like pop-up little concession stands behind the stands. But the big thing was the entrance / what would that be? The north end of the field. You had basically a restaurant there. You had a nice gift shop. Their gift shop is full. I'm jealous of that gift shop. It is incredible. It was like walking in. I mean, when I went to Wrigley earlier this season, just all of the stuff. When I went to the Pittsburgh Steelers gift shop, just full of everything you can think of: pennants, balls, jerseys, all the jackets, blankets, everything. It was great. It was fully stocked. All the merchandise. I'm jealous of that. That was the big thing that I will come away that I'm jealous of. Pittsburgh food, it's fine. It's fine. San Antonio food's a lot better. The beer, I like Yingling. I think San Antonio beer is better. With Alamo and with Freetail and everything you get here, I just think the selection's better. It's just better quality. But that gift shop, that's the thing that I will go away saying, damn, I wish we had that. Which is kind of weird.
But it's not weird. When the Energy were playing,
that's a gripe that a lot of people have about San Antonio FC is where's the merchandise? Like that's a big way to get the word out there. That's how you get
availability of the merchandise. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of what I took away from it. People at Pittsburgh were really nice, except for one person that I'll mention here in a little bit. But I did get to meet Sam Adeniran's brother, who had driven from Philly, which is apparently a 6-hour drive, unbelievable, to go see his brother play. So I got to meet his brother.
Kaler said the battery gift shop is incredible, the best he's ever seen. So
I wouldn't
about
doubt
the
it.
uniforms.
That's a trip I need to make. My wife and I talk about going to South Carolina just to go on vacation to go check it out. So,
all right, we'll wrap it up so we can move on.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm absolutely taking time. I'm doing the full book report crap here. I mean, just
And
to,
on this
to wrap
wall,
it up. I know. My bad. It's like I haven't talked to y'all in like 2 weeks period, and so I'm just talking to y'all and we're recording the show at the same time. But yeah, it was great. Great experience. It should be on everybody's road trip.
List.
It should be on everybody's road trip for sure. It was awesome. But anyway, shout out to the Pittsburgh people at Pittsburgh. I had a couple of people come up to me and say, "Hey, are you from San Antonio?" Like, yeah, just got here, man. Just flew in and supporting my team. They're like, "Oh, that's awesome," and had questions and we talked. But there's one person that, as we had won. I'm waving my flag. I'm proud. I'm having a great time. Dude leaves and like kind of a side swipe at the corner of his eye goes, "I can't think of a more s-hole city than San Antonio," and walks off. And I'm like, first of all, you're in Pittsburgh. Like, get some perspective. And second of all, jog on. 3 points. SAFC. Let's go.
So Kaler said Charles Stadium is rough. Don't treat for mosquitoes at all, but the food and gift shop are awesome, and the view is unmatched, even over Pittsburgh. And this year, rough viewing for Charleston for that here, as far as if you're a fan. So,
but they're doing the Tulsa rebuild as well, so we'll see how their rebuild goes. They didn't get our buddy Sam Dewar, so we'll see.
Yeah, so shout out to Kaler as well. Said the beer was given to us by the SAFC supporters and Jonathan, which were Ginny and Mike Check. Were awesome. They are our super fans traveling. They made the trip to Birmingham, which is where we're going to talk about next for that here. And luckily, San Antonio backed up my trash talking to Kaler all week because I was a little bit worried. I won't lie.
Yeah,
but
there's some nervy moments.
But no, San Antonio came away with the win. But let's start out with the lineup. I don't think anybody had this lineup going in. Bologna, Lynn up top, Diop, Pirano.
This was not on my bingo card, no.
Ambiela, Dalim, Gomez, Manley, Kamiri, Garcia, and Farr. So outside of the back four, I don't think, and maybe Pirano, I think most everybody would have penciled in. I don't think anybody had the midfield like that, or in the. And I guess Jack Lynn's been starting, or been getting more minutes than Nacho. But your thoughts on the lineup there? We'll start with you, Matt. The surprises. So out was Connor Maloney, who was not on the injury report, but was out. PC, Abu. I'm trying to think who else was out. Sam
Adeniran.
Sam Adeniran was out. Obviously, Tainter was game 2 of the suspension, so he'll be back most likely for Orange County because I can't see him not giving him some minutes before the season ends for that here. But your thoughts on the lineup?
I mean, I'm not shocked. I mean, it's the old Marcino way, just trying to give everybody out there. And I mean, there's what combination can't he do? That's the question we all have to ask. Like, there's no combination that hasn't failed him yet, hopefully. But no, I was expecting something way left field like this. So, I mean,
I wasn't expecting roster rotation like this because to me this was a heavily rotated roster with the exception of the back line and the goalkeeper, in my opinion. And I thought with them going for the points, the most wins on the road, because Marcina all through the week, because I think we even discussed that last Thursday of it sounds like San Antonio's FC is going for all the wins, and yeah, they got the win, but to me, as Jonathan, I mentioned, with Kaler, it was a C lineup. I said it was a B lineup, but Your thoughts, Rafa, on the lineup?
I had a feeling they may do something like that, but you mentioned about trying to get the most points and most wins. We probably thought, like, hey, let's keep the momentum, keep our guys there to keep. Not because we are going to get a bye, and we don't really want them to really sit down. But I think Marcino's philosophy is the next man up, and that's been the case here this whole season. So one's down, the next person takes over, and we don't see a drop in play. That's the big thing. This season is from last season that when we sub somebody, the level of play doesn't go down. It's either stays the same or it goes up. And some players have brought up that level of play a lot more. And it's just it was a good opportunity for some of those bench players to kind of show what they could do and also have them ready, because you never know if there's an injury in a playoff game, so forth. They're ready to go, and we won't miss a beat. And like I said, it was. I think we had to. It was still. I don't know if you can call it a C. I guess it was like the B lineup, B team. But hey, the B team can probably take on, compete against our A team. So we're ready to go for Sunday.
And thank you, Kaylor, for tuning in. And like I said here, I'll catch the USL show probably on the rebound, because we'll probably be going at least another hour. Because I have a feeling this. What's Roy's taking 20 minutes on his book report to Pittsburgh.
You asked.
Well, we were supposed to have you on last week.
I know, dude. I got in so late on Tuesday, and you were like, "Oh, we're gonna record." I'm like, "Oh, there's no."
No, it's fine. Your thoughts on the lineup here? Like I said here, kind of echoing what Matt and Rafa thought, or were you as shocked as I was?
I was hoping that there'd be a lot of rotation for sure, especially after we clinched. You don't want to see your starters go right back out there, especially on another field like that. And I'm happy they rotated the three players that I really did want to see what they would offer in the positions that they played was Juf, Delim, and Jordan. Ambiala. Why can't I think of his last name? Iambila is his last name. Iambila. That's why, because you said it wrong. Iambila. Those are the three I wanted to see that we signed, and that had I wanted to see where they were at. I also wanted to see Beckford as a 10, because that role's becoming more defined to see. And like I was saying on Twitter to the Chelsea fan, I can't think of his name, man. I don't think it's, or maybe it was Mark I was talking to, but I don't think it's obviously not an effort issue with Beckford. He has all the effort in the world. He has all the speed in the world. I think it's just that the system, the 10 position that we signed him for, just doesn't fit his game. I think he wants to go forward too much, and there's too much responsibility to come back and to press. And Beckford can press. We've seen that, and Beckford can go forward. I just don't know him coming back. And part of his danger, if you remember in the Phoenix match at home, one of the big things that we were missing was somebody to go forward and to elongate, get their line back to get some pressure off of us. That's where we needed Beckford. And when we're chasing a goal, that's where we needed Beckford. Like we were chasing, was it against Monterey? And he went between the two defenders and got the cross that ended up going in for the game-winning goal. That's when you need Beckford. And knock on wood, thankfully, we haven't really been in those situations. But at the same time, I really wanted to see what Juf had, and he looked solid. All the park. Delim really held that 6th position. He really held the Mo position very well, and that really gave me some confidence that okay, it doesn't have to be Abu all by himself. We got Delim back there, and he looked solid. And Ayimbala looked pretty damn good on the left as well. He had some. He wasn't as effective as Shannon Gomez on the right, but he still made some plays that really opened up Birmingham there on the left side. So it was encouraging for sure to see that rotation. And then Jack didn't look too bad, and Nacho's going to Nacho, man. The guy's incredible. Unbelievable. So Yeah, I mean, it ended up being a really good lineup. At first, I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be some wackadoo stuff. We'll see what we do." And they look damn good against early. Obviously, there's some growing pains, but they ended up with a pretty solid match against a pretty highly ranked Eastern Conference team. So,
And I want to thank Robert for joining the show. So happy that his Minnesota Broncos eked out a win and made
Minnesota Broncos. Wow, good lord. I will say real quick, all over a bunch of Pittsburgh bridges, especially the one that leads directly to, it used to be Heinz Field, now it's Acrisure. I still can't say it right. Whole bunch of little Vikings skulls that were graffitied on the bridge with skull underneath it. And I took a picture and sent one to them. Like, you guys are just vandals. So pretty funny. Pretty
when
funny.
the Vikings make Justin Fields look like an NFL quarterback, dude, I'd love for the Broncos to play against that weak defense, but that's a different show.
Yikes.
So let's do the highlights here. I would have loved to see, just be honest with you, for the camera work with the sun and stuff. I would have loved to seen the game at night as opposed to a 4:00 kickoff Central Time for here, because it made the game look a little bit Vegas-like as far as on the video production. But let's take a look.
San Antonio and their change whites.
I know the video's out.
And we are underway from Protective Stadium. The first minute of today's contest. San Antonio and their change whites, Birmingham Legion in black. And we are underway from Protective Stadium. The first minute of today's contest presented by Fleetio. You do it before they can even set the ball down.
And I already know we're going to have a disagreement here coming up, so I'll probably be outvoted. But
to find Juan Agadello, sitters, a Sandu goes to ground, and the referee gives a penalty.
it's a PK. It is. Watch, it goes right through him. Bam.
Yeah, clear foul. I'm not sure if he gave the ball there, and he's coming into the back.
Here's the thing, though. Shannon gets position and the player runs into him, but Shannon gets position between the ball and the player. Not a foul. Not a foul.
I think he won that one.
Goes to ground, and the referee gives a penalty.
Disagree,
He
but
took a dive.
continue.
He took a dive like Tom Brady this weekend.
Wow.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a 50-50 ball there, and they're both going for the ball. I mean, they're shoulder to shoulder, but the ref maybe been at a bad angle, and maybe that's why I think.
The ref would have been on the side of the Legion player. The ref was on that side of the play.
So I think that's why he gave him the PK, because it probably looked a lot worse than it really did there.
All I know is if it was a San Antonio player that got fouled like that, we would be asking for the PK. Just being honest.
Would we have gotten the PK? No, we wouldn't have, but we would have been arguing for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
How many PKs?
Matt, your thoughts?
I mean, it's like Rafa said, it's a 50-50 ball. I think it could have went either way. But it could have gone either way. From the angle that we're seeing it, it could go either way.
So, and of course,
you can tell he kind of did lean into it if he's falling like that.
It's Santos against Jordan Farr for the spots.
a well-taken PK. You got to give him credit.
Yeah.
Birmingham Legion in front here early in Birmingham on this Sunday.
And Jordan gets right, but the placement by Santos was.
And over there was Kaler.
Almost into the roof. He winds up.
Right there is Kaler standing up. Right here.
Almost into the roof of the net. It's very well taken penalty. Lopez back out the other side to Dean, who's been involved early.
Two former SAFC players,
penalty area. His shot.
Lopez and Haraval, played in this game for Birmingham. Thought they played all right.
And Garcia with a serve. It's flicked, and Van Oekel makes the play.
So dirty.
Nacho almost had the goal of the week there.
No, that was Jack.
Oh, Jack. Oh, Jack.
The nest here. Big impact on the San Antonio team so far this year.
He showed more growing into this game than he has before, which is kind of the point why he's out there and why he's constantly out there, is to get that experience with the team. And it's a similar thing why Pirano's been playing every match. Is the more Jack and the more Pirano have been on the field, the better they have looked, and they're just exponentially getting better. And
I think for Jack, it was more adjusting to the speed of the game
than the physicality as well.
What he's accustomed to from MLS Next. There's a big gap between USL Championship and MLS Next. You know, you're playing with the big boys here, but he's improved each week. I think he's finally getting comfortable.
Robert and Van whatever has a body like Homer Simpson. He's a hell of a goalkeeper, though.
Towards the penalty spot, and Van Oekel makes the play again.
It's like he had one too many Budweisers there.
Rising nice and high, and Van Oekel one for the high rack.
That 2-inch vertical.
To grab on and keep hold of that one.
He didn't really have to die for that one. He could have got it on his feet.
Hey, it made him look good. Whatever helps, man.
I guess that's for the poster.
To Garcia, prime for
what a shot!
Not a bad one. It gets in. San Antonio have leveled.
It's those shorts. Them and Garcia. It's those shorts.
Like it was.
The short.
Ignacio by Loney to tie the match one apiece.
The short connection.
The balls that Garcia can get, he hasn't got it on the free kicks as of yet, but the assists have just been outstanding. He had two of them that could have been goals in this one.
That's another thing that I'll say about the Pittsburgh match is it's fun to pay attention to Marcina and what he's telling Fabian and what he's telling everybody as far as the set pieces go. At one point, he just kind of told Fabian, like, he was like, Fabian. He goes, and Fabian's like, okay, wait for goal. He almost had it. It was,
next goal wins, the one from the training
Pittsburgh
ground.
keeper had a really good save on.
There we go. Second 45 starts now. Time for Protective Stadium.
Solera brings the ball in.
A couple of changes for San Antonio. No changes yet for Tom Sohn and Birmingham Legion.
And then we're going to get to a point. I know Kaler isn't with us anymore, but if you listen to his show and his follow him on Twitter. And I went on late last week talking about how maybe their coach has kind of got them as far as he can get, and they need somebody to take them to that next step, like Marcinez took SAFC, where Pal got them to where they were knocking on the door and stuff like that. So
leads it for Patino, who scores.
Good to see Patino back.
I'll admit, I didn't expect to see him or Dylan back. I'll admit it.
Agreed. But when Patino comes back from injury, the man is deadly. That's his second goal in the first game back from injury that he's had this season.
Yeah, he did it at Monterey Bay, and now he does it at Birmingham.
About 1 foot of space.
And what an assist by Nicky, though. That's the thing that stuck to me.
And he finds it.
And really, Nicky could have taken that shot, but he just saw Patino maybe had a better angle, and just to give that little dump off pass for him. And that goalie had no chance to stop that shot.
Where did I do it? Here. So, looking at the stats of the game here, I had the page up and I took it down. That was Sunday. Possession-wise, obviously San Antonio didn't win, but it was fairly close, 55-45. Birmingham had 10 shots, 3 on target. We had 15, 6 on target. They had 6 corner kicks. We had 1. We were offsides 3 times. We only had 9 fouls, and they had 16, 2 yellow cards to them, 1 yellow card for us. Passing, Rafa's still not going to be happy. They were at 67%. We were at 64%. We had 17 clearances, 17 interceptions, 14 tackles. They had 16, 4, and 13. To me, it was a typical San Antonio FC match. I will say from the Birmingham Legion side, they, at least from Kaler's point of view, trying to see if I can find the message here. Was that basically he felt that Birmingham, and through this coach, wasn't set up to win. It was more, hey, let's just kind of set back. And I think if you look at the momentum side there, when Birmingham scored their goal in the first half, that was their biggest kind of area. And then once, San Antonio got their goal basically through the second half, it was all San Antonio. For here in the second half, they only had 3 total shots, 1 on target. Their lineup that they felt wasn't the most attacking side. So your thoughts on teams, and especially where Birmingham needed the 3 points to be able to try to move up in the standings. Your thoughts on teams kind of sitting back and trying to absorb and really trying to avoid letting San Antonio FC do the counters. Any thoughts on that here as far as the strategy of playing San Antonio FC?
I guess it seems as not to be working for them because you really can't really game plan against us because it depends on the lineups we put out there. I'm sure they were shocked with the lineup we put out there, and then boom, we put Dylan and Patino up there. Now we're a little more offensive. And then you have Lorero in. That's a different change of pace. So, them being tied, knowing that they had needed those 3 points, they couldn't really sit back. But when we added that extra pressure from our normal starters, it just kind of threw their plans out of the picture, and we were able to take advantage of that. So I think that's something I'm noticing this few weeks. Can they game plan against us? Not really, because we can hit you with any different lineup, and we can. I think Marcino was starting to realize, he's putting the right guys against the teams that we're going to face against, and we're taking advantage of. They can't take advantage of us on that, and we're taking advantage of it, and it's paying dividends.
I don't even think it's just the lineups. I think it's once they see the subs come in, I feel like these past 2 teams, they just shut down, thinking, oh, well, now they're going to kick it up a notch. Now we have to, step back and try to think this through before something else happens. But obviously they're not pulling out.
Well, I think San Antonio is the deepest team in the league, period. I think they're deeper than Louisville. I think they're deeper than Tampa. Obviously, I think they're deeper than San Diego, who's probably the closest. San Diego, Sacramento is probably the closest in the West. But when I was talking with Mongols, I think that's the difference between Pittsburgh and Birmingham. Is when you bring on the players, it's typically there's a little bit of dip, or if you're starting a backup player and bringing on a starter, there's just that dip where. This is 33 games San Antonio's played and 33 different lineups, and they keep rolling. Royce, your thoughts on the Legion match?
Sorry, trying to look up some stats. Yeah, I mean it's good to see that a team that tries to set up a low line against us, that wants us to possess when we don't want to really possess, and still kind of runs into the buzzsaw. It's definitely a good test for San Antonio. And it's something that we're probably going to see in the playoffs, especially since we're going to be at home. We're going to be, I guess, the favorite going through the playoffs.
Not a guess. We are the favorite.
So,
you may not like the role, but you can't.
no, it is. No,
If you're going to set the
we're
single season record for points,
but we'll see if other teams try to implement the same system. And that's kind of what I was figuring is, we'd get a lot of teams that are going to have that low line that try to make us break them down, and then they try to counter on us. And that's kind of what we saw here. And it's good practice. We'll see what Orange County does. I think Orange County is going to do very much the same thing. They'll probably be in their typical – I'm pretty sure they're in a typical 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-2 or a 4-3-3, which is just about the same thing with Elianowski and up front. Trying
he
to
may not play, though. He didn't play the last match.
Oh, did he not? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But we'll see how they come out. But I think it's going to be kind of a similar thing. We're going to have to break them down, and it'll be a good run up to get to the playoffs against whoever we're going to end up facing. But I mean, like you said, we are the deepest team, and it's not that we've had a roster of this size. This is the typical roster size we normally have. We just happen to hit on every signing that we've had, which kudos to Tim Holt, kudos to Spurs Sports Entertainment, and kudos to Alan
Marcina.
And Juan La Madrid and whoever else is scouting the other, potential players. I mean, nailed it in one on all these signings. It's been crazy how good they've been. So, and like I said, this isn't out of the ordinary for roster size for San Antonio FC. It just so happens that everything's kind of hitting and the team looks good. So
it's all universal puzzle pieces.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Seeing what fits together, and so far, it's fit. It's looked good.
So here's a question for you guys, and this might be better off for 2 weeks from now, but when it comes to the playoffs, do you think Marcina goes with a more set lineup, or do you think he, assuming injuries aren't an issue, or do you think he keeps rotating players and rotating lineups?
I think he's going to do. I think it depends who we play. I think that's the big thing is who we play is who you're going to see on the field. Because, like I said, we've gone through so many lineups. I think his strategy is I'm going to put the right – heading on the style of play the other team has, I'm going to put the players that can neutralize that. So we could literally see Pacini come off a bench from a playoff game. That's a possibility. And, it's – I think the back three will probably be Tainer, Garcia, and Manley. I think those probably your consistent ones. Maybe Kamari may, depending on situation. Maybe Kamari will come in for Manley. Who knows? Like I said, Shannon Gomez could be. He's interchangeable too, as far as depending on what style of play we go against, and even Lorera and Perano too. I mean, I think PC and Abu are probably going to be and Bologna are probably going to be our consistent or the ones
I
we
disagree with you on that though. Because if you look Abu and what the work rate that they do is different than Lorera and Nicky Hernandez. Because to me, Nicky Hernandez, his play to me, you've got to also start wondering, is he going to be kind of that super sub that comes on in the second half, or has he earned, possibly a little bit more, of a shot at the starting lineup, depending on where he fits in. Obviously, you're not replacing both Abu and PC, but when Nicky comes onto the pitch, they're a different team offensively. And I don't think they lose that much defensively either.
But you know how Marcina is as far as he's a very defensive coach, and he's going to put his best defense. But look, you're right. Nicky does have more of an offensive factor in his play, and he does make a difference when he's in there because he does go up with the ball and does give the passes maybe more than PC or Abu and so forth. But Abu and PC are more of our defensive muscle in the middle. So, but it's like I said, that's the scary part going into this playoffs. For the other teams, they just don't know how to game plan against us. because we're just too deep, and we can hit you with any lineup, and it can throw off the other team's game plan, and we got you in. So I think that's what I see going into to this play. 2 weeks into the playoffs, it's going to depend who we play, whether it's RGV or we have a Sacramento. We're going to figure something out. As far as what lineup's going to be on there.
I don't think necessarily it depends on who it is. I just think he's just going to keep switching up regardless, because he doesn't want to have a set like, okay, this is the lineup. We remember how we saw them play against that. I think he's just going to keep you on your toes and just keep going with different lineups. I mean, the better off that you're not aware of who's where. I feel that's how we've been doing, and it's been doing pretty good for us. If not, I would say excellent.
I'm gonna go and disagree with you there. I think there is a set lineup that Marcina has. I think we've seen it. I'm pretty confident it's going to be, if everybody's healthy, health has everything to do with it, but it's going to be Kamiri, it's going to be Fabian on the right, it's going to be Mitch
Tanner
on the left. Far left, the winger is going to be Maloney. Far right, it's going to be Shannon. In the middle, you'll have PC and Abu. And then the three up top, you're going to have Pirano kind of have that hybrid 10/7 as a winger. And then you're going to probably have Sam and whoever Sam's partner is. I think that's the open thing. And I think as of right now, it's probably Nacho. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I'm sure JD is going to get a nice run in the Orange County match coming up. I'm pretty sure Santi's going to get a nice run, and Jack's probably going to get a nice run too. And I think those are the positions. The two forwards are the ones most in question. I think Sam has one nailed on, automatic starter. I think the other one's questionable.
Don't forget Collier. We're missing Collier too.
And hopefully he's healthy, and hopefully you have him available as well. I think the thing that people are vying for positions is who's going to sub in. So, I mean, you're going to have Jordy that's going to get ready to come into the midfield. Obviously, the forwards are going to be a big thing. Loera right now is the backup for Pirano. So those are kind of more who's vying for who's going to sub in late and come in for reinforcements. Like I said, Jordy in the midfield. And then you'll have Loera
Salam
come in
on the defense.
Right. So yeah, and then Saad is going to get ready to go in the back. Manley is going to get ready to go in the back. So you have to prepare for that. And I think those are the positions that are most in question, and those are the guys that are going to get the most playing time. So Alan and the coaching staff can see who has the form, who's working well with the squad right now.
You can't hear you, Harry.
Yeah, I got you.
There we go.
I'm over here trying to get the other thing here. So Orange County, we'll probably touch on a preview. It's the last match, but I think, to me, it's one of those things. And we saw this last year with Matt. How much players do you want to risk possibly getting injured? For that here. So, but records that San Antonio is shooting for. This is from San Antonio FC with an update by the Crocketeers. And also, just to make sure I give proper credit, the game highlights was by YouTube, USL Championship, and for that here. So just to give proper credit to them. Wins, we're tied with Phoenix right now at 24. One more, we'll have the most wins. We're still third in total points. We tie FC Cincinnati's the year they crushed the league, despite not winning a playoff game, but that's a whole separate discussion. And 78 points is the record by Rising. So if they get the 3 points, they'll own that. Points per game, just looking at it right now, we're tied at second at 2.3. The most we can get is 2.32. So Orlando City will still hold the points per game back in 2012. Road wins, we've equaled the Red Bulls, and we will not be going out on the road again. And shutouts, we'll see if FAR gets the shutout record against Orange County. So seeing all the records and that they're going for here, Royce, your kind of thoughts on the Orange County match? What you're looking for? What kind of lineup do you anticipate? Obviously, we're expecting a decent sized crowd. I think most people would estimate to kind of celebrate the Copa Shield. From my understanding, is rumored to be possibly being given out. We'll see if USL has a supporter shield or regular season shield. They used to pre-COVID. We'll see if they have one now, as opposed to there. So, Royce, you're the pre-match Orange County preview for your view. What you got?
Yeah, so my preview, like I said, kind of like I was going into, I think this is going to be more of a match to see who the top spot for the subs are going to be. So you're going to get a lineup of, I wouldn't doubt if Delim starts again. I wouldn't doubt if Atez is also up there. And I wouldn't doubt if, Pirano just needs playing time in general, like we've discussed. Jack is probably going to be one of the forwards. I don't know if he gets Sam out there. I think Sam gets a rest. And I think you're probably going to have Nacho out there. So it's probably going to be Nacho and Sam, or Nacho and Jack. I'm sorry. And then out wide left, you might get a Yimbala. I think he held his own, and I think he did a serviceable job. I don't think you want Maloney out there at all. I think Maloney, PC, and Abu, I think their next game is going to be the playoff match, or the next playoff match.
Is that too much time off, though?
I think those three, no, those three are, they could,
Battle tested, yeah.
They're fine. If you remember, we had the 2-week little break, I guess 1 week break, 2 weeks between
COVID,
games,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it, in the middle of the summer. Those three are the three players that came out firing. Everybody else was a little step behind. Those three did not lose a beat at all. So I don't have any qualms with those three sitting, resting, and getting ready for this run. At the same rate, like I said, they could be ready to come and sub in, maybe get 20 minutes at the end just to get a little run up. Loera, like I said, Prawn's going to start. Loera's probably going to come in late. In the back, you might see Saad on the right. You might see a Yimbala on the left. But we'll see. In the back line may have Saad as well. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, it'll be I'm guessing it'll be the 33rd different formation.
34th.
Game,
34th.
No, we've had the same lineup once.
Right. This is the final match. Game 34.
Last game, I know the last game we had the 32nd unique formation in 33 games. Last game was the 33rd game. This time it'll be the 33rd unique formation, 34. We have only had the same formation once between games. I can't name you those games. I will find that. I will dig the research. That's what I was trying to check out right now.
It's probably the first two.
So, but we have had the same starting formation once this entire season for 2 matches.
Yeah, I think Tanner sets on this game. I believe.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't think Tanner's out there. I would agree with that. He probably.
I think we see
Tanner's playing, dude.
No, actually, no. You know what?
In 2
I think
weeks.
Tanner plays because he had the last 2 games off because of suspension. You're right. Tanner plays because he had the last 2 games because of suspension.
So we'll probably see Tanner, Garcia, maybe Kamiri or Manley. One of those 4 combinations.
I think it's going to most likely be Garcia and Manley out there with Tanner. I think Kamiri gets a rest. Kamiri's had some injury issues. I think he gets the rest.
With a hamstring.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And you'll probably see Saad sub in for late. Like I said, on the wings, Shannon might start. He may come off at halftime. Ayembala probably starts on the left. He probably plays the whole match, and then on the right you'll get. We'll see who ends up on the right side, and maybe Shannon for the whole thing. Shannon's.
Do we see Beckford play this game?
Very possible. We may see what he has. He and Atez may switch out. We'll see. I mean,
maybe as a sub.
No,
as a sub.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe to get him a run out.
The only way that you're doing that is if you plan on using him in the playoffs. And I hate to say this, I don't think San Antonio plans on using him in the playoffs unless there's an injury.
Like I said,
I know you're the Beckford fan club president. I got you.
That's fine. Where you need Deshane Beckford and where he has shown you the quality and where he has shown you the skill is if you are chasing a goal late. that man will run his tail off to get you that goal.
This
I'm
is
not
probably be
seeing
the this would probably be the perfect game because OC plays back.
Yeah.
You know, especially what they did to us last year. You know, we
Yep.
were chasing a goal, so I think this might be a perfect game for him to play on this, just to get him, you know, just to get him some minutes, just in case if we all do fall like behind a game and we need that extra little factor in there to get us a goal. I think this would be a good game for him to play.
Rafa, your thoughts on the Orange County match? I know you kind of already piggybacked a little bit off of Royce, but your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I think we have a similar lineup what we did against Birmingham. It may be tweaked a bit. You know, we'll have like I said, we'll have Jack up front and also Nacho. I think those would probably be your two starting forwards. Your wings, same thing with Jordy and all them. I think it's gonna be similar to what we had, like I mentioned, the last game. With the difference, maybe Tanner in the back. I think Tanner gets some minutes on this one, and then he will probably get subbed out for for something. Salam will probably come in for him like in the second half. So and I don't know, do we change keepers? At the end of the half, unless Jordan wants,
if they
unless
gave
we're
up
gonna
a
let
goal,
Jordan.
if they gave up a goal, I could see that. But remember,
Yeah.
Jordan's already lost one clean sheet when Matt came in. So when Matt came in, he lost his it's turned out to be his 18th clean sheet. As long as he's got a clean sheet, I don't see him coming out.
That's what
Matt?
I can see that.
Your thoughts, Matt?
I'll probably go with it's a mixture of Royce and Rafa. I feel like they will do something similar to this last game and throw a curveball here or there, but I like you said, Garcia, Tanner, and Mitch in the back. I do see that happening. Wings, probably like how Rafa said, what was it? Salam and
It was Jordy.
I don't even think
Jordan
Abu,
Ayimbola.
to be honest.
Ambella, yeah.
I don't see Abu coming in.
No, they're sitting out.
Yeah, I feel like most of the starters are going to be sitting out. But like I said, it's going to be a curveball, but not so much. But
Because you got to remember Abu and PC and Maloney have played probably the most minutes of out of the team.
Exactly.
But I would like to see Jack do something this game. I really want to see that.
Put it together. Like he created some good chances in this past game.
Yeah.
Maybe put it together and finally get your goal.
I want to see him get something out of it. Well, but
I will say the guy that has had the schneid on his back that needs a goal more than anybody ever is JD. And when JD scores, he scores in bunches. So watch out if JD gets the start. I found the two matches where we've had the exact same lineup. I did it. I'm proud of myself. It was this last Sacramento match at home where we beat them 1-0. And the New Mexico United match where we tied them 1-1. We had the exact same lineup. It was Sam and Bailone up top. In the midfield was Abu, PC, and Pirano. On the wings, you had Maloney on the left, Gomez on the right. And then the back line was Taintor, Kamiri, and Manley, and then Farr's goalkeeper. Both of those games, same lineup. So
I'm going to push back on all of you. I think San Antonio comes out with a strong lineup in the first half with the starters, and then subs out, the
five,
the five, and goes.
I can see that happening too, to give them some momentum going in the 2 weeks, because you don't want them to be kind of like rusty. So that's another possibility. I can see that. I mean, who knows? Maybe we see. Maybe a Jordan probably may sit out. I can see Coutinho and maybe Dylan start this game.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to see a couple. I think you're going to see the people that are on minutes, like Pirano and Lorera. We know that's going to be a swap. Your forwards are they're pairing up where they're probably going to be a swap. But that's why I think for San Antonio FC, I believe they really want to get the clean sheet record. So I think they're going to put up a pretty strong defensive lineup. But I also think, and this is kind of a unique year where this is the first year that the first seed gets a bye. And I know, Royce has talked about the veterans maybe not so much needing to play, but, I think we're going to see a fairly strong lineup. I thought that against Birmingham, I was wrong. So I may be wrong again for that here. So, which wouldn't be shocking. Anything on the Orange County before we move to the standings and then talk about, unfortunately, the big USL news and go down that crap list of events this past week?
Hopefully Orange County shines up that trophy for us.
So looking out east, top 7 are settled. However, order of placement is still wide open. Louisville's locked into the first. Memphis is locked into the second. Well, actually,
How many points does Louisville have?
69.
Nice.
So they have 69. And Memphis, maximum they can get is 68. I'm not falling for your trap for that here. Rowdies technically could get to possibly second place. So I guess I can't say that's locked in because they do have 2 matches. One against El Paso and then a winnable match, I think, on the last match. Birmingham, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Miami, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They'll sort it out. It's 3 points between the 3 of them. If I was a betting man, Miami's going to finish 7th, and who finishes 4th, 5th, or 6th, good luck. For that here, rounding out Indy, Tulsa, Hartford, Loudoun, Charleston, Atlanta, and New York. So good riddance to New York and Atlanta.
Gone fishing.
Well, they're gone because they'll be in MLS Next Pro next year. Loudoun, hearing maybe back just because of their stadium deal. So we'll see what happens with them. Out west, San Antonio, San Diego locked in 1-2. Colorado Springs locked into 3rd. Sacramento's locked into 4. And then who's getting into the final? There's basically 5 teams if you want to put Vegas in it, although I don't really think so. RGV, Oakland, El Paso, New Mexico. New Mexico's got 2 matches. They play, G2, LA Galaxy 2 at home as a makeup, and then they also play Colorado Springs at home, who really doesn't have anything to play for, and will be playing the next week. So you're probably going to see a rotated lineup for that. So to me, El Paso is the one that I think may miss, just for the fact that they play at the Rowdies tomorrow night. Tough place to play. They lose the tiebreakers to New Mexico, Oakland, and RGV as well. So tough break for El Paso and Seriously Loco. And then rounding out the standings, Vegas, Monterey Bay has 2 matches, so they technically have an outside shot. LA, Phoenix, and OC are officially eliminated for that here. Sorry, Rising fans, but you went down to RGV and they put you out to pasture. So any thoughts on the standings? Anything that surprises you, don't surprises you?
It looks really nice. Like, can we just keep that? That'll be the table forever. That'll be nice. What's stop the count? Stop the count. Anyway, idiot.
Too early, my friend. Too early.
I don't think San Diego wants to play Oakland. I don't think they want to play them. I think they want them to move up, or maybe even RGV too, because RGV could surprise San Diego. I think those are the 2 teams. Yeah. Those 2 teams. I think San Diego does not want them on the 7th seed.
New Mexico or El Paso, neither one of those scare me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's incredible that those 5 clubs at the bottom are vying for the last, and they're that close together. That's unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, not at the bottom. I mean, the ones that are at the bottom that haven't been eliminated yet. It's crazy how we've gone through this whole season and they're that tight together. Nuts.
Well, you look at the point gap, and it's not something that I don't think anybody's really talking about. San Antonio has won a very competitive West by at least 16 points.
Yep.
That to me is something that's not being discussed, is just how
dominant
it's been. And San Antonio, it's not like they haven't played anybody. They beat the 4th place team on the road, the 5th place team on the road, beat Detroit City in the first game, went to Miami on the road and beat them. Now, they did beat Loudoun at home, Atlanta United at home, and Charleston at home. So they did have some through here. The only loss they had on the road to the east was at Indianapolis, which for that, and they beat Tulsa because we played Tulsa as well, right? Yeah, we played Tulsa as well. So we've played 4, 5, 6, basically 4 through 9. The only loss is to Indy 11. So for San Antonio, they have done a great job. So now let's turn to the unfortunate news of the week here. So let me get my cheat sheet here because I had to write this out here. So October 4th, the USL Championship came out saying that there was an open investigation into foul and abusive language on the field during USL Championship match between Monterey Bay and the Tampa Bay Rowdies on October 2nd. Of course, USL strictly prohibits any form of harassment or discrimination on or off the field. Such actions are against the values of the USL, which may apply punitive measures for violations of this policy. So that came out. Ed actually caught wind of this earlier for that here with people that I know in Tampa and just throughout the league here. Heard some rumblings of it. I think it took a little bit longer it came out on a Monday afternoon. Monterey Bay put out a response on the 7th, Friday, announcing that the game against them, and Tulsa also put out a statement that the match at Tulsa was being postponed. Monterey Bay Football Club's upcoming away match against FC Tulsa on Saturday will not be played as the players have voted to postpone the fixture in the midst of the USL Championship's investigation into the racial language and gestures directly following the conclusion of the match on Sunday, October 2nd. Monterey Bay Football Club is united in our stance against racism. So I have some points on that, but I won't bring those up as of yet. Then October 8th, I don't think I have it on here. October 8th, so that was the 7th. October 8th, they announced that they rescheduled the date for Tulsa, which is this Wednesday. So they postponed the match against Tulsa. And from my, so just a little discussion about that. From my understanding, Monterey Bay did not tell Tulsa until late Friday afternoon. And, of course, this dropped Friday at about 8:30. So there's some issues to me about the communication between Monterey Bay, Tulsa, and the league along those lines. And this is going to become a common theme. So on the 8th, they announced, hey, we're going to reschedule the match. Yesterday on the 10th at around 7:35 Central Time, USL came out with a announcement here. For that here, it says the USL Championship announced that its investigation into allegations of racially discriminatory behavior following the USL Championship match between Monterey Bay and Tampa found that Rowdies defender Lawrence Wilkie violated the zero tolerance related to any form of harassment or discrimination on or off the field. As a result, the USL Championship has issued a 12-game suspension and an undisclosed fine to Wilkie. So I think most of us thought, hey, this is done. Monterey Bay released a statement saying, the USL Championship has issued a 12-game suspension and an undisclosed fine to Tampa Bay Rowdies defender Lawrence Wilkie for violating through here. In 6 here. So the fellow from through here basically re-echoing what it did. So I think most everybody's like, okay, hey, we're glad it's out. I know Ralph's Mob released a statement. And then the Rowdies at about 8:47, 9:30 is when it was released on their side here. So this is their disclosure. If you click on Rowdies Soccer, you can go through here, but it's through here. It says the Tampa Bay Rowdies have been and always will be an organization that has zero tolerance policy against racism of any kind. We take allegations against Lawrence Wilk very seriously, which is why we are appealing this suspension. The USL has rushed to conclusion and issued a statement without providing us the full report. This decision to suspend Lawrence Wilkie for an unprecedented 12 games, double the amount of any previous suspension of this kind, is unbecoming of the league and sets dangerous standards for all players. We all know that there was a heated match between the two clubs last week and tensions rose after the match concluded. Words and gestures were exchanged. However, we dispute that there were any racial intent behind what Lawrence did that evening. There certainly was no racial abuse by Lawrence. We stand behind Lawrence because there is zero audio or visual evidence suggesting that he behaved in a racist manner. We stand behind Lawrence because several Rowdy staff and players witnessed the events and confirmed the same. Most importantly, we stand behind Lawrence because we know him to be thoughtful, individual, and a caring teammate, and a person who stands firmly against racism of any kind. He is appropriately devastated by these allegations and remorse that his actions have been interpreted to be racially insensitive. If any of us at the Rowdies, coaches, teammates, executives believe there were to be any racial intent behind his actions, we would not have, he would not have a spot on our roster. It's impossible, or it is possible for us to support Lawrence while simultaneously appreciating and understanding that Monterey Bay has a different interpretation of the events that evening. This happens in soccer and in life on a frequent basis. When we see things differently, it is crucial that we try to come together and understand one another and our intentions. We are at our best when we give our competition the benefit of the doubt, when we trust in intentions and provide ample space for forgiveness and understanding. There is an opportunity to do that here. Lawrence Wilkie and the Rowdies are deeply sorry that his gestures mimicking the goal he scored on a header came across as racially insensitive, and will do better next time. We are all on the same side of this issue, and we are deeply troubled that USL is not able to see as much. This is on top of the Yates report in NWSL highlighting all the abuse that took place in NWSL with, I think, at least 3 teams that were reported. Louisville City, or not Louisville, Racing Louisville, which is owned by Louisville City. So there is that USL connection. North Carolina FC is also involved, which is in League One and has been in part of USL for a long time. And then, of course, the Thorns out in Portland, and they're owned by MLS for that here, which is, for that here. So lots to get into on this here. Royce, we'll start with you first, just on your actions, or pardon me, your thoughts on. It's an ugly situation for everybody. To me, the Tulsa got impacted. They were supposed to have a huge, one of their biggest crowds, got moved from a Saturday to a Wednesday. They got impacted. Obviously, the racial abuse should not be tolerated by anybody, no matter job, team, club, whatever. But also, I think USL and the USL Players Association need to do something to be able to police the actions, and better yet, have an independent investigation on this, because obviously you've got 2 clubs. It's a he said at this point, and I've talked to people on both sides, and it's, as somebody that's in the middle,
it's the same crap, different year. We had the exact same thing last season with Colin. I can't think of his
Montgomery or Martin. Colin Martin.
Martin, yeah, Colin Martin being verbally abused by
Fleming.
Thank you, Junior Flemings. I was thinking Junior.
Phoenix and San Diego, and where Donovan took the team off.
It was basically the same thing, where the words the player was using, I guess, in whatever
gestures
context that he was saying wasn't what was said, but at the same time, he used those words, and those words to the player he was directing them at meant something different. And I think we have the exact same thing going on with Lawrence White here. And, oh, that's not what I meant by those words. Well, buddy, you said them. And those words can be interpreted. That's why you got to watch what you're saying. You don't say, and who knows what he said? I don't know. Nobody knows, except for those 2. And apparently during the process of the investigation, the league thought it was bad enough to where, yeah, we need to do something unprecedented. Obviously, throughout football and throughout the entire world, there's been a huge
Focus.
I guess a focus. I can't think of the word I want, but a big policy to, say no to racism, strike out racism, whatever they're saying. So it's a big topic throughout world soccer. The league doesn't want to look bad for being soft on anything that could be interpreted as racist. So I think the league is doing what they need to do, honestly, and kind of coming down hard on this. I don't think they came down as hard on Junior Flemings for what he did, which kind of basically the same thing. But at the same time, I think they got deservedly kind of drugged for that, for not being as strong as they should have against Junior Fleming for what he said against Colin Martin. I think the league has learned the lesson from there, and I think that's why they've come down. It's pretty incredible for the Rowdies to come out and say, "Oh no, what our player had no intention of saying anything like that." It's like, it doesn't matter what the intention was, dude. It's how it was interpreted, and it was interpreted to be racist. And there's no room for that in this game. There's no room for that in this world. Get it out of here. And whatever you said, don't say it ever again. Learn your lesson. Don't woe is me. Don't play the victim. That's one of the big things that people of a certain ilk will do, is they'll try to play victim whenever you call them out on their crap, whenever they are doing things that are wrong. And it's kind of what you see with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay needs to come up with another statement and be like, look, after some thought, okay, we accept.
Well, we don't know that.
We'll learn from it and we'll be better for it. And the big thing is be better from it. Learn from it. Be better from it. And it's just kind of disappointing to see what Tampa Bay is doing, but that's my interpretation of it. And I would hope if a member of the team that I support were to say something racially insensitive or of something similar, I would hope that my club would say, no, what he said was interpreted to be wrong, and it's wrong. And he needs to learn from that. And in order to learn from that, he's going to sit out, yada, yada. And go on from there, instead of like you get standing by the player, but at the same time, it's no, I think that's the wrong call on their part. At the same rate, it sucks that Tulsa missed out on their game, but this is kind of a much bigger situation. And we'll see what happens going forward, but it's just kind of, the whole situation's disappointing. Honestly, it sucks.
You're the Buckeye. To me, my issue with that is it sounds like the Rowdies don't believe the investigation. The investigation from their view was one-sided. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. From people that are close to the Rowdies, is they didn't talk to anybody on their side, and that's, to me, is where I don't like the statement from the Rowdies where, hey, he's a good person, he would never do that. There was no racial intent, but how do you interpret that, especially when they acknowledge that it was a heated situation? People, sometimes say things inadvertently, even though they're not that type of person, but in a heated situation, sometimes, I've said things that I shouldn't have said, just between me and my wife. And then I have to walk it back and apologize and spend a couple of days on the couch, along those lines here where, it's wrong. And I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but, when you're in a heated situation, there were red cards. There was, almost a fight at the end of this game. The coach of the Rowdies was flipping kids off and people there. Mm-hmm. To me, go ahead.
You got to be responsible as a player. I think they're just not putting any responsibility for his actions and making excuses. I understand maybe, the USL jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe they could have thoroughly investigated a little bit more, because 12 games is a lot of games.
It's a third of the season. It's a third of the season.
But, if you look what's going on in some of the situations like in Europe, I'll give you one example of the Atletico Real Madrid game. The Atletico fans were making monkey sounds on Vinicius Jr. They were just giving a slap in the hand. I think USL is kind of seeing that. So, you know what? We're not going to tolerate this BS. And if they can do it, if they're doing that in Europe, we're not going to tolerate it here. And I think that's I think the league itself has to be more firm on that and explain to the teams, we're not going to tolerate this, but it's also your responsibility for your players to watch their actions and so forth. Because like I said, words do matter. Regardless if it's intentional or not, words do matter to a person if it's directed to them.
Matt, your thoughts on it?
I think USL as a whole kind of jumped it majorly. Because once I saw that report or notification come out that there was an incident, I went back to the game and I watched the whole game to see where did it fall. And like me and Rafa had a discussion earlier today, they jumped the bomb on the supporter the group for Monterrey. I heard the P chant multiple times towards the end, and I'm thinking, well, you're going to get mad at a player for doing one thing, but you can hear pretty clear through the mic something else going on. Where's the punishment on that?
See, that's where the USL needs to punish the fans of Monterey Bay and ban them.
That's why it's the club. The club.
Yeah, ban
the fans. The club.
Yeah, punish them when they're not having fans at a game.
And like I said, if you're gonna slap the hand on one person, you gotta evenly distribute it out. It doesn't seem right that, like how the Loyal situation, he got 6 games,
something like that. Yeah,
this one's getting 12.
It's a different time though. The length of the suspension doesn't bother me because you've got to make. You can't, because Royce is right. You got to make the point. You got to make it where, where it impacts them. To me, where I want to go to next is how can USL and the USLPA, because let's be honest, this is both of them, they've got to come together, kind of police this. Darius mentions players, already wear GPS, might as well start wearing mics too and have firm evidence for any time this may come up. Which to me, and I tweeted this out, I think in order to help police this, not necessarily mics on players, but the entrances to and from or outside of the locker room, there needs to be cameras, there needs to be microphones, because that's where this happened, from my understanding, is more off the pitch in the locker room area where there was not any video evidence. Now, I also don't think that Tampa's excuse or not excuse, Tampa's statement saying, "Hey, there's no video evidence or audio evidence," to me that's a cop out. For that here, if there are witnesses that heard it, for that here, to me that's and they're credible witnesses. To me, you don't need the actual visual proof to do it. That statement rubs me the wrong way entirely. Royce, your thoughts on how USL can kind of try to police this? Because these are human beings. These are young players that sometimes we've seen it lose their head a little bit, I guess you could say, for that here, lose their temper, and a lot of different backgrounds, through that here as far as nationalities and stuff like that. So your thoughts on the ways that USL can try to help police it, and to me, more importantly, help to be able to investigate it to where you don't have this he said type of situation.
Right. And like I was saying earlier, and like Rafa said, the players need to hold themselves to a higher standard. The clubs need to hold the players to a higher standard. And the whole league is trying to hold everybody to a higher standard. That's what this 12-game suspension is showing, that they're not messing around. This is, like I said, it's been a huge implementation of, no room for racism in soccer. And this is showing it. There really isn't. And what the Tampa Bay Rowdy is coming out and saying, "Oh, there's no recording of it." What that tells me is that if they don't want to directly say what was said because they know what was said, but they think if most people were to hear what was said, they'd be like, oh, that's all he said. That's not racist. But at the same time, that doesn't matter. It's how it's interpreted. And what he said was obviously interpreted as being racist. The league knows what he said. And what most likely happened because of the 12-game suspension and the evidence that we have based on everything, the league knows what was said. The players know what was said. The coaches know what was said. But Tampa Bay, like I said, they think that most people hearing it would think it was innocuous, much like the double B phrase that Fleming said against Colin Martin. So a lot of people would hear that and be like, "Oh, that's not um anti what's the word I want? Good Lord, I can't think. It's late, man. It's late. Homophobic. There we go. That's not homophobic. That BB phrase that he said, that's not homophobic. Well, guess what? Yeah, it is, dude. You can't call people that, especially if they happen to be, and it's the same thing. If you're gonna call somebody something and they're of a certain, you got to take responsibility for your words. Take responsibility, and that's the biggest thing. And it's obvious that the team's not standing up for it, and it's disappointing that that was the statement that they released.
Your thoughts, Rafa, or any more thoughts?
Just like what Royce said, it's we have to help hold people accountable for their actions, and I think even today, I don't want to get into politics, but even the political atmosphere, things are being said, stuff like that, and that's we don't want that to be a reflection on the soccer field. The soccer field is supposed to be a safe haven for the players and so forth to come together, enjoy the sport, but we're seeing a lot more of this, especially like I said, we've seen it in Europe. Now we're seeing this, especially with the World Cup coming up too. Reason to tolerate this BS and to make excuses like that. And I understand, maybe was the investigation rushed, maybe a little bit, maybe they could have taken a little time, but still, whatever he said should have never been said on the field in the first place. I think maybe also kind of policing it, maybe having more officials, game officials, hey, we'll stay there, what's going on, escort the teams into the locker rooms and make sure nothing's going on. And that's it, because if something does come up, we have officials there that can, be witnesses to what's going on, and just to kind of keep an eye, making sure everything runs smooth before, during, and after the games and so forth. So I think USL needs to look into more of that. How can we make this into a better environment?
And I'll say this: I've had when they announced on Friday the Tulsa match being rescheduled. And I came out saying, hey, that, to me, in my opinion, that was the wrong decision. Chris Walker of Seek and Strike podcast out of New Mexico reached out to me. And we had kind of a discussion on it. And he's like, there's we're not black. So we're not black players. We don't know, along those lines here.
Correct.
And he was like, the one thing that I don't understand is it's not only just this incident, it's the history that's came through it. And Brandon Miller, if you read his tweet out, he put out a multiple thing here, but I'll just read the first one here. He's at DVO26. He's one of the all-time greats of USL goalkeepers that played for Charlotte Independence. And I think, he's touching on something that I can't speak on to, but I think it to me, it opened up my eyes, in where he mentioned, just do this here so I can give him credit here. Telling black players, specifically ones that have who've endured racial abuse while playing in the USL before, to give the benefit of the doubt is absolutely, he did an emoji. They decided to put the onus on the black player to be better, instead of simply telling their players not to do what he did. Tampa, if you want to support your players, then do that, but don't ever think it's my job to give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to perceived racism. It's your job to educate your players. The statement was garbage for multiple reasons, and then he goes on from there. To me, I think that's from a point of view that I don't think USL comes across very well at for that here. And like I said, Brandon Miller, and there's other Hugh Roberts, who is in Monterey Bay, which is one of the outstanding leaders in USL for that here. And so to me, that's something that if you go through and read Brandon's, it's what, 6-7 tweet. If you click the view and reader, it makes it all nice. But to me, I think that's an interesting perspective, one that I can't relate to. But I think that does highlight just how bad. I understand Tampa Bay has a right to appeal the decision, but the statement that they came out with just set the wrong tone. And I just put wow on the statement, because that is not something that I would have expected from Tampa Bay Rowdies, because they are historically, and they are, to be fair, they are historically a leader in the community. They do the right things for that here. But for this statement here, even if you think you're right, it just wasn't the right tone, and especially in the environment that we're in, coming off the Yates report of NWSL, it was just tone deaf to me here. Matt, any comments that you have? I know you've kind of piped in a little bit, but you haven't had the floor yourself.
I'm just, it's the way like how we put towards our national players. We don't want them to do anything. You're representing a country. These players are representing a city. You don't want, and just like how Royce had that comment from that one, is it Legion? No, it's not Legion. It's Pittsburgh player or Pittsburgh fan. You don't want nobody to downsize your hometown or a city you'd like to represent and somewhere else. We're supposed to represent our city. It's like, say, the Crocketeers, Mission City, we all went to RGV. We got to represent who we are from San Antonio. If we went to California, we have to represent who we are as our club. Of course, whatever was said shouldn't have been said. Flat. No ifs, ands, no buts. You can't copy it, paste it, nothing. Shouldn't have been said. I just hope that the Rowdies do hold that higher standard as they're claiming, and they do tell this player, hey, if this appeal don't work, you're getting what you deserved in a sense.
So I think we use that time, unless you guys want to go longer. I know we were already at an hour and a half here.
I'll be honest with you. My wife is texting me. It is time to go.
So we're just gonna jump to final thoughts. No foreign leagues
on that sensitive subject, but I just got a text, and she sent me a very angry Jerry the Mouse not being able to go to sleep gift.
Royce is heading to the couch if he doesn't get off soon.
That's
so
100% right.
Final, we'll do you first, Royce, so that way you can jump off. Your final thoughts that you have for this week.
So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I was lucky enough to see Albert Pujols' final home run of his career, number 703. And I got to see Yachty one last time. Those are two first ballot Hall of Famers. And it's a little bit of baseball history is their career ended a couple of days ago, and a little shorter than I wanted it, but at the same rate. It's been incredible watching those two, luckily on my team, but just watching them in general. I mean, Albert Pujols passed Babe Ruth for most RBIs ever with that home run. So when you're breaking Babe Ruth's records, when you're breaking all those records, it's been incredible. And he's one of a kind and one of the best people. Like earlier, they said that Kaler said that Jordan Farr's the nicest guy you could ever meet. Albert's the nicest guy you could ever meet at the same rate. Incredible people, and it was great watching them. I'm going to miss them, watching them on the field, and looking forward to seeing them in a managerial role. But at the same time, let's go SAFC. Keep this thing rolling. Let's go, boys.
Okay, Harry.
Royce, have a good evening. Matt, you're next.
Final thought. I would like to say just let's fill that stadium up, guys. I mean, whether it be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we got a winning team. We need that stadium filled up and show those guys support. That there's nothing more. I can't express how passionate I really want that field to be filled up, and to show the proper love that these guys are kind of not getting what they deserve. So that's my final thought.
Rafa?
My final thought, well, happy belated birthday yesterday to my grandfather, Francisco. Turned 94, hopefully for many more. That's my dad. Was my dad's dad. So glad to, I still have him. I don't know, he had a great birthday. Doesn't look 94, so he still looks good. And then my final thought is, the whole thing with this, with situations with what's going on, I think U.S. Soccer Federation really needs to look at themselves in the mirror and really fix a lot of these things. And it's kind of starting to get a little out of control. And it's a black eye, especially for us, for the U.S. to be hosting the World Cup after Qatar. There's a lot of things that need to change and need to fix, because we want to have a Super World Cup, in the next, in like I said, 2026. So a lot of things need to change, and also shout out to Real Madrid, got that tie in the last minute.
Oh my God.
It was a little brutal, with Rudiger getting that. If you watch the replay, he got busted open on that play. It looked. I'm glad. I don't know if you got a concussion or not, but he got that goal. And Clasico on Sunday. Hopefully, we'll take care of Barcelona. And I don't know, with this whole thing with Mbappe crying like a little girl. Now he wants to be out of PSG. More drama. So we'll see what happens out of that after the World Cup.
There's always drama on player movements. So my final thought's going to be kind of tied into what we just talked about. We all come from different backgrounds. We all, are of different race. Use these moments as education, as learning. I appreciate Chris Walker reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, this is why." He didn't say I was wrong, but he's like, "Hey, this, you're not coming from." Where I was coming from was my point of view, and I'm not necessarily wrong, but also I'm not looking at it from their point of view along those lines here. So just be open to what other people's thoughts or interpretations can be, because while what you put may not be wrong, it may not be right either. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I learned. And I know Twitter's Twitter, but to me, it can be a great avenue to be able to educate yourself and social media and life in general. I'm 50. I'll admit, I grew up in Western Colorado. I didn't see my first African American or Black individual till I was a senior in high school. It just didn't through me. Just wasn't around where I was at. And the education that I've been able to learn, from the military, through working careers and stuff like that, is still something that I work on every day. For that here, just to be able to understand the history of other individuals and their experiences that they went through, and I went through experiences that they haven't went through. But I think if everybody can kind of take a step back and learn and be open, and to me, that's the biggest thing, is be open to hearing the other side. You may not agree with everything. You may disagree with some things, and that's life. But at least be open. And if we as a society can kind of tone it down and be more accepting of each other, no matter what the situation is, we're going to be in a much better place than where we're at right now. So to me, my final thing here is just, number one, be nice, be careful of what you say. And number three, be open to hearing other people. And I think that's an extremely important facet that as a society we don't necessarily do on that third one, that where we're open to other individuals' thoughts and ideas and experiences. So I know we went a little long, so appreciate anybody that's still watching on here. This will be uploaded probably later on this evening. Royce, thank you. I know you've already dropped off. Matt, thank you. Rafa, enjoy your time down at the border for that here in the tacos better down there than San Antonio?
That,
To be honest, man, I mean, as long as it's not El Paso, we're fine.
they're better. They're better than El Paso. I can tell you that.
As long as I don't hear El Paso and Austin's tacos are better than
them in here in RGV. Here in RGV, yeah. San Antonio, a little bit harder, but hey, Del Rio. So, but it's all good. It's all good food. So hopefully I get to try some of that. Even though I had a concert come up to me and say, "Hey, you lost weight. You look skinnier." I'm like, what?
Well, thank you.
Sure,
The proper response is thank you.
Thank you. So I do my pants do feel a lot looser now.
But what's life without goals? We're out of here. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. If you can, please obviously make it out to Toyota Field. Also, if you haven't got tickets to the match on the 28th, which is a Friday night at 7:30, please go to sanantoniofc.com and get your tickets, Ticketmaster through there, and get the tickets because we want to have that stadium sold out, especially for the playoffs. And that is Friday, the 28th, October 28th at 7:30, most likely the first match of the second round here. So I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And what's life without goals?